answer. The lack of contradiction is the final judge here on Feet to the Fire. Feet. Sunday evenings, 8 to 11 Eastern. Fire. How do you listen? www.feet2fire.com for more information.
The views expressed in the following show are of the host, the guest, and the callers. The content of the following show, its accuracy, authenticity, and the ramifications of the use or application of said content is the responsibility of those speaking and listening, not the broadcast medium. All right, Feet to Fire. I'm your host, James Theanchik, the Black Knight of Talk Radio. It is live. It is May 21st, 2017. Just eyeing the board and all this stuff. Did some last minute. Still haven't gotten my tube yet for my preamp, so if you can hear the hum in the background, sorry about that. Anyway, we have some stuff to talk about today. Well, I would hope so. Otherwise, why would I be here? Very interesting stuff. Very hot, turning up the burners. Gee, I can't believe this is all happening, and people are still saying goofy, stupid things. But they are, and here we go. Let me go to my webpage screen. Get the right shot of it there. There we go. Still doing the stuff on Facebook. Still haven't gotten all this over to my server yet. Well, I just have to do it. It's being on the road and all that. It's kind of easy to supplant it on there. I'll probably have to put some time in a weekend to put this together. But I do have at the end of the show, I do go in because I look up URLs while we're doing this, and I do update it. So when you do see the archive, it will have all the links underneath it, and in YouTube as well. Let's see. I want to start out with. What do I want to start out with? Let me start out with this. You've heard by now. I'm sure that some of this news is old, but I still want to talk about it. Chris Cornell, the suicide. His wife issues a statement, and God bless her for making this stand. And blames medication for the suicide. He's on benzodiazepine. And I'm assuming that because it's an anxiety medicine, which is going to be benzos, which should be Klonopin, Valium, that kind of stuff. And I put some links underneath. One basically deals with the SSRIs, which would be like Prozac and whatnot, drugawareness.org. But I got a hold of the other one, benzobuddies.org. My sister, God bless her, has been going through this stuff. She, under the care of a doctor in her youth, was put on the benzos for, well, I think it was, I want to say it was 17 years or some outrageous that when she talked to other doctors, they're like, what? That's supposed to be for short term, like if you had, death in the family or some kind of event happen. Yeah, what? So it's ridiculous. She had to go and do what's called a micro taper, where you have to dissolve the items in water. Actually, it's not in water, in milk, because it's a fat-soluble drug. In case of what she had, which was Klonopin, and you had to take a dropper and all this stuff and figure out and drop it by 0.3% solution each day, and years. She did this for years, and she was able to get off the stuff, but suffered brain damage. Well, I guess there's no way to know because the doctors don't recognize this, but she's been dealing with a bunch of issues and working through it. Sensitivity to certain foods and certain medicines. It's phenomenal. Of course, they just give this stuff out like candy, and here we have Chris, or just stopped, or what have you, around these various pills, serotonin uptake inhibitor. Serotonin inhibitor. Gosh, SSRIs. That these items are suicidal tendencies, homicidal tendencies. But no one mentioned this in the mainstream. When these people go out and shoot a bunch of people, they all act like, oh, see, they were on these drugs, so therefore they were unstable. Well, the drugs, as a side effect, it says right on their lists. So God bless her coming out and saying this, and I have the links. You know, anybody who is on any of these type of drugs, you might want to send them these links, and they can just read on it, because the stuff is overwhelming. It's just that it's not popular, and if you make these stands in public, and if you're on some kind of a public network where you need advertisers and sponsors to keep the ball rolling, people employed, you're living on this, and so on, well, you're going to be in trouble. So I want to mention that up the top. People can look into this. benzobuddies.org is the website, benzobuddies.org. The other one is drugawareness.org. I've had drug awareness. I've had, I can't think of her name right now. Let me look. Dr. I got to say her name now. Of course, not going to miss. And Blake Tracy. That's who I've had on the show talking about it. It's in our archives, but of course you could see they have. Let me go to the full screen here. They have plenty of things on their website to talk about these items, and the other website being benzobuddies.org. Or alternative news, independent digger type people listen. So I will say it again. You are aware of the note that was read from some shady anonymous character to New York Times saying that Comey, the words to effect that Comey, one can interpret the conversation he took notes to, that Trump tried to go like, hey, you can overlook the guy, huh? You can overlook him, huh, buddy, huh? And now, of course, this has been going on for several days now. They're calling for, oh, my God, obstruction of justice. Oh, my God. Well, here's the very interesting thing that we all need to know about.
With Robert Mueller being assigned to the special
this is the whole thing. You can click on it. I'll have the links on there. I don't want to play people's whole videos. But in there, and it's going around on YouTube, Comey testified under oath that no one tried to get him to change his investigation. So he says it on oath after the memo was written, but before the memo was released publicly. So now you have a problem. This is, I didn't know you meant that. I thought you meant the Attorney General. I didn't know you meant the President, even though he did say anybody for political reasons. So that's really dead. We're going to have to see how they work that out. Trying to look at so that is one thing with the Comey issue. There's a Harvard study reveals huge extent of anti-media bias. Well, we knew this, but there's a study now that shows this up. I want to get to. I'll get to that separate. Get to that. That was kind of funny. I guess we'll get to Seth Rich now, since that seems to be the most of it. I'm going to keep scrolling around here. It'll be all over the place. And I'll get to the other things later. Okay, Seth Rich. That's been over and kind of done with, but it's been reignited again in the news, because information is coming out now that Seth Rich was the leaks for WikiLeaks for the hacks, information from the Democratic servers. Now, this has been something people have said for a while. Julian Assange all but named him in saying but not saying that he was the person, and that it kind of faded, but then it got reignited again with various things coming out. For example, I have a link Fire manager cops never talk with the staff about Seth Rich. When they were doing investigation, never bothered to go and talk to the staff. You have a link to Bill Still doing a report that there was a person inside the ER who has said that he was alive when he was brought in, and that from this little discussion that he probably should have lived. You have a talk about that there are body cams on the police officers when they answered the calls, and that he was alive, and they brought him to the hospital where he died. What did the body cam show? Did he say anything along the way? All those things aren't being answered. Also, I do have a link to was put out by let's see. Who says it in here? This is supposed to be this is from Reddit, where somebody wrote on there gave the play-by-play in the emergency room and the oddities that happen in here. That was released by Jack Posobiec on Twitter. I have a whole string of that. So if you go to there, or if you look at the bottom of this YouTube, you'll see all these. When the time came to work this through. As I get more information, I will just put it along that thread. They found Seth Rich's Reddit account. It was under a name. And also they found a Twitter account. He likes pandas. It was under a code name where he was talking about meeting at the White House. This last thing he wrote. So they find this is all new stuff. Of course, now the mainstream media is talking about all conspiracy theories, fake news, and all this stuff, but there are interesting items that need to be followed. And, if we were following an actual investigation, you'd look these things up. I mean, this is like, well, sure, of course you'd look into it. I mean, why wouldn't you look into it? Well, the reason why you don't look into it is because the goal here, you've heard the term I can't talk today. You've heard the term out-based education. So the outcome-based education. So you want a certain result, and then you modify the education, get the certain result. Now you would think, okay, well, I want people to be smart. I want them to be critical thinkers. And so we're going to make the education come up with that. But that's not what it's for. It's for how to program the person to be in this the citizen model that will work with the neo-Bolshevik type, Soviet type, Cultural Revolution type of government. You change the education to end up with that out-based. So the out-based education is for their out-based outcome. So you don't have people who are critically thinking. You don't have people who want to find the truth. What they want to do is find a certain answer, and they arrange the things so that it comes out the way they want to. And so what is happening now is you have these people who have arranged, it's a Russian hack. Anything that will take away from the Russian hack or that will point it somewhere else is negated, rather than, of course, follow all tracks and make the decisions. I mean, this is what it's come down to. So I wanted to bring up those items that caught my interest. I've been following Cernovich and Posobiec on Twitter. I recommend it. They're pretty good on the case. So, hi to those who are gathering in the chat room in Facebook. So this is something to follow. The whole Seth Rich thing. It's more. I mean, some of the stuff was just released moments before I went on the air, so you could see the replies and the stuff I put up is 20 minutes ago. So this is a hot topic on the end. Another interesting thing, if you can find, I have the links there. Alan Dershowitz was on with Tucker Carlson. If you actually watch the video, you have Tucker Carlson kind of like, huh? Looking in the camera like dumbfounded. He actually never thought they'd say this. Dershowitz, who is, no fan of Trump personally. In fact, he says in his interview that he voted for Hillary Clinton, but he is a libertarian. A libertarian, in other words, liberty, and that personal liberty takes precedence over politics, novel concept. And he goes and goes through the whole thing that Trump is being accused of. There's nothing wrong, nothing illegal. One might say it was a poor choice here or there, but actual legal ease, there's nothing behind it. It's actually the left is now, as I see it, holding off on impeachment. They're trying to slow down impeachment because they don't want him impeached per se. This is what I think is going on. The left does not actually want, I wrote it here, want impeachment, which they cannot actually win. That's another side issue. They probably can't win it. But they want to tar baby Trump for the next 4 years, slow or stop plans and programs, and attack those who support him in the upcoming elections in cahoots with their propaganda organ, the mainstream media. So that's the gig. But it's interesting when you do get bits of real data. I like to highlight that and bring it up. Bias. Never saw the memo. There's the Comey admitting he didn't instruct the justice. There's another thing. Interesting painting. But Johnny Stefano, who was in charge of, he's from the previous administration. He's in charge of hiring the Trump people, and these people have come across the country, quit jobs, moved to be staff members, and they're going through and not giving them clearance, and they're stalling it. And on the 22nd, which we'll see what happens, which is tomorrow, their temporary clearance is up, and some have said that he is going to just they'll all go home, and he'll have to put in some of the, regular people to fill these positions who were there, who were holdovers from Obama or simply just longtime deep staters. And so this is another backdoor way to get it done. I'm trying to go through. Yeah, I'm sure you heard about the private investigator. That's what started the whole Rich thing. Was this private investigator came forward and said there was evidence that he was connected to WikiLeaks, and then so then along the way here we have. I know I'm skipping around here. This was started up the Kim Dotcom, who is this hacker guy that he's wanted. He says he knew Seth Rich was part of the WikiLeaks source, and he was part of it too. He knows I was there. And he says, if you extend the Russian investigation into this with Seth's death, he will personally give, testimony on it. So this is really getting out of control for the left. And then you have Trump going out into the world, meeting with these world leaders who are basically totally ignoring all the stuff going on in terms of the mainstream media, the left, and the impeachment is going on in the world, handling business as normal. Now, we can talk about Saudi Arabia and how, the Trump's base isn't all thrilled about that. But I'm not going to get into that point of it. I'm just going to say he's going around doing these things, talking with these states, Canada, Mexico, all these parts. And it seems to be the only people paying attention to all this is the radical left ideology, the left wing, the Soros, the paid, all those are people paying attention. And, of course, the media, which has got most of the cable-type views handled. So those are the people seem to be only ones listening to it. Of course, it is important because if we go into they go into an actual impeachment and actually impeach him. But I don't think you're going to get 2/3 of the House. You may get some of the never-Trumpers and the rhinos and all this will go along with it. You might even be able to get a majority in the Senate, but I don't think you'll be able to get 2/3 of it, so it won't happen. And there's not even grounds for it, but you can say anything you want. You can vote for impeachment just because you want to do it. It's not. You don't have. It's not like you have a jury or a judge. And you have to prove a certain threshold. So let me scroll down and make sure I got all the rest of the Seth stuff. And I really people. Yeah, there's a connection to Comey and the FBI. Yeah, just that's the main stuff on that. So let me get up here. I'm going to stop in and talk about Kerry Andrew Crittenden. He is being sent to prison. He's a whistleblower. He's been on the show. You can look in our archives. UglyJudge.com has been taking up his cause. I have links to that on the webpage. The big issue here is, according to these folks, that the official record of your trial in judge, if you go to a judge, is the audio tape, which you have the right to request a copy of. And that audio tape, unedited audio tape, is the actual record of the trial. And from that audio tape, what is apparently happening is corrupt judiciary and staff are redacting what happened in the trial and releasing or using this typed, redacted as the official record of a court. And he and others have been asking for the tapes, which he's been denied, which are not supposed to be denied. Of course, he doesn't have the money to have a big shot lawyer, so he's been getting people who are assigned, and they've been going along, or and so on. So and now he's I tell you, he's like a badger, or getting when he gets his jaws on the ankle, he won't let go, and he's now being going to prison now. Apparently, on this latest update, I was asked to post this, so I did. Links to go on to that. And this is the problem we're having. Well, we'll just take Trump. He makes curtails the influx of people from certain countries where they have trouble vetting. He goes to go to the court, and the court, complete judicial overreach, completely goes beyond the fray and says no. I mean, so this is, if they do this for the president, then they do it all the way down the line. So this is the troubles. Let me, I don't keep scrolling up and down here, probably get you guys all blind. I'm trying to find the aspects of this. All right, let me go to this next topic here. Okay, let me go to this. Let me switch to my webpage. Bitcoin. I did a show in 2011. I posted it on the Facebook feed somewhere, where we talked about these cryptocurrencies. Brand new to me, never heard of them. 2011. Bitcoin at the time, there wasn't the actual good way to say what it was worth, because there wasn't even exchanges. The only way you can get a Bitcoin, other than mathematically mining them, which you can hear about on that episode, rather than me go through the whole thing, was to actually find somebody who had a Bitcoin, and you actually made a deal with that individual. Now, of course, times have changed, and the price went from 10 cents, some kind of number no one really knew what it was, to, at the moment, as we look at the Bitcoin exchange, $2,034, so far surpassing gold. Well, the Bitcoin, which is a number, literally a number, but a crypto encoded number that is mathematically provable to be a real Bitcoin, cannot be counterfeited, because there are 16,300,000 solutions to this very complex equation, which the solution is a, quote, Bitcoin, and it has encoded within it a key to the, quote, owner of the Bitcoin. And if you want to trade with somebody, you want to buy something using Bitcoins, or you want to buy a Bitcoin with some other type of currency, when this transition comes about person to person, there are private keys that are used along with public keys so that it transfers ownership and it gets put up into a database, which is all over the world, similar to DNS servers, if you know what that is, where you want to go to feedtofireradio.com. You have to type that in, and where is that? No one knows, but there's an address for that, and the DNS servers, dynamic name servers, keep the name and the address. So you type in Feed to the Fire Radio, your browser knows to go to a DNS of the provider that you're typing through. They have that information, gives you the real address. You go to that real address, okay? This is kind of similar where whenever you do have a bona fide mining of a new Bitcoin through the math process or somebody sells something, this information is then distributed through thousands and thousands of databases that are constantly updating each other and verifying one another throughout the world. So you can't take down one database. It'd be like taking down the internet. It's very difficult to do. And in Bitcoin's case, it's virtually impossible because of the Bitcoin community. Now, this is several years. This is 2010, I think it started. 2011, you could have got Bitcoins for pennies. And even as early as, let me see, what date was it? November 27, 2016, Bitcoin, this is number 26, was $732. November of last year, it was $732. Now, at the present moment, $2,035 Bitcoin. Articles are out, and I'll see if I can put it together. It's one of these things that you want to tell it, but if you're involved in the investing, I don't even know how to say it because it's not even official investment by legal rules. If you're involved with it, you want it to, in a way, you go like, well, don't tell anybody. But yeah, you want to tell somebody because the more people who get into the Bitcoin, the higher it goes. Why is that? Finite number. Look up here, 16,300,000 Bitcoins. You can't, no quantitative easing. You can't print more. That's it. When you lose one, if you lose it improperly, you lose it in your transmission because it's super encrypted with keys. There's nobody, I lost my Bitcoin passkey. I'll just go to the Bitcoin people and they'll give me a new one. There is no Bitcoin people that do that. You're on your own with it. You get a Bitcoin, you have to take some caution to not have someone take it, which is hard. You can't do it unless they have the key, so you have to have the key. So people will lose Bitcoins along the way. They still haven't found all of them, I don't think. But even if they did, the 16 million something is the max that it'll ever be. And it will never actually hit that max for the reasons I just said. So what happens when you want one and there's a finite supply, the price goes up. So just letting you know, if you have some cash kicking around, you might want to pick up some of these because within the last week, let's see if I can, let's see, what would be the date? What is the date? 22nd? So it would be 14th. The 14th, it was $1,776 last week. And now it is $2,035. When's the last time you bought something that went up $300 in a week? And the sky is the limit. If you look at this chart, this is only going to 16, whereas 800, it went down to 0. I wonder if I can even extend this. I don't know if I just grabbed this. I guess this goes back farther. Oh, maybe I'm waiting for it. Oh. See, I shouldn't have done that. I probably lost my chance here. Oh, there we go. Well, you can go back to 0, and if you actually go back to the beginning, middle, I think it was February last year, it was in the double digits. So if you have some coins, money, dollars, that is, you could buy a Bitcoin or two and just stick them in a drawer, so to speak, Because here's the talk, talking with some people who were involved in this while I was driving, spent a few hours on the phone. The talk of this is that Bitcoin will be the new, quote, Federal Reserve, in that each coin will become so high in value that they'll be high. I mean, even though you can fractionalize it, you can fractionalize it down and buy, a hundredth, a thousandth, a millionth of a Bitcoin. It'll be cumbersome. So what they're trying to do now is reunite the fractions into wholes. The goal here amongst all these people is that the Bitcoin will be the new treasury bill, if you will, this large number. So they're looking at Bitcoins to go $10,000 to $100,000 a piece or more in the next several years, and possibly be this big figure, while there's many other cryptocurrencies that are coming out, Ripple, Litecoin. My favorite name is the Ethereum. What a great name for it. But that these other ones will be world and regional currencies, similar, like if you have the US dollar, or you have British pound, euro, all these various currencies, that instead of being based on central banks that are inflated and screwed with, these various cryptocurrencies are coming out, some of them having 30 billion pieces, which then you can have them on a lower value, a more reasonable value, $20 or something, and then you could turn around and buy bread or what have you with these coins, but they'll be defined in terms of the Bitcoin, which will be the big one in the background. So what I am saying, I'm not an official investor on items. I'm just some guy talking to you. But using the logical approach of it's a finite currency. It's completely safe. It is, you can't run it on a debt object, because whoever owns the Bitcoin owns it. You can't borrow a Bitcoin. I know there's guys who are doing certain deals on it. But the idea being is that the owner of the Bitcoin has it, and it's a complex key system that they have, that you can have completely private, anonymous uses of the Bitcoin. Because when you make a private deal with somebody, the databases are updated about the ownership, but they don't know who the owner is. It's all included in this encrypted number. And the owner of the key, the private key in there, is ownership by the ability to actually use it. So it's a very interesting thing, and I think people now, could it fail? I mean, I don't know. I'm sure the banks and all of the big shots aren't going to sit back and go, oh well, this Bitcoin thing did us in. Oh well, my guess is they would try to buy it in. I don't know. But here's something to think about. I mean, if you're going to try and put together some kind of retirement in the next 10 years, you don't have a lot of growth potential anywhere. And talking with Lionel Parkinson, who I've had on before, has been very skeptical about the markets, and even in gold. He thinks it might be a good investment in a long-term sense. And you can make some short-term money if you want to play that. So I didn't mean to talk even this long about it, but it's kind of like now's the time. I mean, even if it goes up another 1,000, if the talk is it's supposed to go up to 100,000 or more, some are calling for 1 million, because again, if it is used as the infrastructure for the world currencies, it's got to be big, because they deal in trillions, quadrillions of dollars. It has to be big enough to be able to be a reference point for that. So I thought I'd mention it to you for what it's worth on that. Now I want to make a couple statements. I wrote these down, and I want to put them out there in this format. Somebody had called for the Democrats to be charged for treason. And I had wrote this comment down, though as I was trying to save it, I lost the thread, and so I just posted it as a standalone. As I see it, there's only one party, and the one who is rocking the boat is Trump, so all energies are out to get him. What I mean by one party is you have the You have the left, which I'm calling the neo-Bolsheviks, and you have the right neocons, which are two sides of the same coin. They can work together on many things because their goals, which are similar or different, they're different in their own view or similar compared to our view, which is liberty. As with most dynamic, independent, successful people, Trump has flaws that can be caricatured to portray a profile that can be propagandized to the masses with the goal of taming him, either taming him to follow the one-party system, played out by these two sides of the same coin, or ousting him. The problem is, with all his flaws, there's not really much legally, ethically, or even morally to exploit. He really hasn't done anything. You can make some kind of a goofy argument, like, oh, he said the P word, and he did this. But we can come back who are thinking and go, yeah, but what about, you talk about he was talking about the P word, well, what about Clinton, who was actually went through legal aspects of it? Obstructing justice, you have the exploits that have happened in the last years. I mean, you can go on, and I'm not going to make the case here at this point. There's so many people doing it. So the problem is there's really not a whole lot there. Thus, we see blatant lies, propaganda, manipulation, and disingenuous actions by the, quote, inside players to oust the outside threat. Now, people say, oh, he's an insider. You know, he's a billionaire. He's not an insider in the terms, we all know about this deep state. We're talking about this. We're all familiar with the term. He's not an insider like that. He's an outsider that turned around and took his money in his mouth and went in and became the president, and they are really pissed off at him for that. Ryan would just love to see him toast. You know, and yet he's helping them and good buddy and all this stuff. It's bad. The benefit to those not caught up in the diversionary dramas is the exposure of the real hideous characters and goals of those in the system in all branches and levels of government. Because they're playing such weak arguments that are ridiculous, they are playing their hand. They're coming out and showing that they are liars, cheats, evils, and so forth. Their goal is they'd rather crash the country than lose their power foothold. And more importantly, I think they're hiding what's behind the curtain, which is risking being pulled out from whether it be whatever blackmail they're working under through pedophilia, through Satanism, as some have said. So they're struggling for power, and not only that, they're struggling to not get found out how evil they are behind their smiling face. I should play that song by Undisputed Truth, Smiling Faces. I should put that, that's probably on YouTube somewhere. I'll put that in there. Okay. This is common when the real people, when you have somebody who's real, whatever flaws there may be, whatever rough edges, which other problems, but they're authentic, they're real. When that real person walks into a fake crowd, when the authentic interacts with the prefabricated, it just blows apart the prefabrication. Was that Mark Twain statement? You don't have to remember anything, you have to tell the truth. If you are who you are, you don't have to work at it. You just are. Somebody who's pretending to be something else constantly, got to remember this, got to say this, got to do this, got to watch out for that. This is how they just live. This is an idol. This is not even doing anything. So when they start to do something, they got to think about all these plans. So that's why psychopaths are good at that, because they got a quick, sharp mind, but they don't have a real level, a deep level. So they'll set up a thing that works real quick, and then they'll set up another thing that works, but then they all of a sudden contradict. So that's why someone who is being authentic along the way can walk into there and cause problems by just being who they are. And, of course, their flaws and idiosyncrasies can be used against them in a sophistry propaganda type of approach. They can make stuff up and blow things up. And we're watching this with Trump. What's going on with Trump is like a textbook classic showing in real time how this all works out. It is easy to be who you are. It takes tremendous effort to maintain an illusion. If the deception is large enough and maintained long enough, there will be cracks in it, and there are huge fissures in the facade attempted to be sold us now. So that's why if you're dating somebody, for example, or if you're looking to go into business with somebody, your friend is time. Because if they got a scam going, they don't have the patience, the time, and the wherewithal to juggle all those things and keep it going for a long time. They're going to drop them. They're going to forget something. They're going to add something. And if you're paying attention, this stuff will come forward. So that's where that's where I'm looking at this aspect of it. There's another thing I wrote down too. I wanted to say briefly. These things pop into my head, and I try to write them down. I got the phone. It's a little tough doing it on the road. And I got my little hand. I'm trying to type in this phone, and it's like, I'm glad it's there, but yuck. This can a Bluetooth? Will this work with a cell phone? I never even thought about it. It'd be nice to get a keyboard. Oops, I just did something. What did I just do? Okay, I lost the chat room. I actually exited the chat room by accident. So I don't know how to redo that. I don't know if I lose it, does it disappear? I just lost it all now. Give me a second to... I'm sorry about this, but, this is why you have like engineers and other people working with you, because live control room. Okay. There we go. Almost there, folks. Not that they're all just holding their breath, but... Oh, there you go. Okay. All right. So they didn't need me. They were there already. Anyway, so what came to me, because I was reading some things about cannabis, and see, one of the difference between, you'll see people like myself and others who are backing Trump, you'll see us criticize Trump when he does something that goes against what he was talking about or what we want him to, would like him to do, where you won't see it on the other side. They just, they could do whatever they want and they follow him. So one thing that Sessions is doing and that I totally disagree with is this big attack on cannabis. We're crying out loud. I don't want to get high. Okay, I have no desire to get high. I've tried it. As a teen, I had no desire. I would like to use it as a supplement, completely under the radar of getting high. You don't feel nothing. Many stories have been done. Research has been done on this. I had Rick Simpson in. Rick Simpson was been on the show talking about Phoenix Tears. You look his stuff up, all the things you can do. What's nice about the cannabis oil is there's so many variants in the various cannabinoids in there that some help this, some help that, and if you don't have anything, nothing happens. It's probably preventative. It's phenomenal, and of course the reason why it's not allowed is because the drug companies would be out of business, and because everybody would be, get rid of the GMOs, get rid of whatever they're spraying in the atmosphere, and allow cannabis to replace 90% of all of the drugs they're using, for whether it be for cancer, for obesity, for anorexia, for anxiety, for depression. I mean, all these things. Anyway, it just aggravates me. But if you think being imprisoned for cannabis, using cannabis medicinally, nutraceutically, or recreationally is bad, just wait until you are in prison for reading or writing in opposition to the global agenda. Some people are saying now, hey, where you been? It's already happening. Well, my point is, I'm talking about in terms of. All right, hold on. This is now we're getting ridiculous here. I'm talking in terms of what's coming, what is here, what is on the way, and what is coming. They're getting absolutely crazy with the censorship that's out there. How they're decommissioning, they're demonetizing on YouTube. They're doing all this stuff. They're all attacking because of the topical content. And it's not like how do you cook and prepare human beings for dinner is not the topic they're talking about. It's talking about an opposition and the flaws with the system. So this is the idea that this whole cannabis thing is an example of it being against what the system would like. For one thing, they like selling it, making money illegally, and then they'll sell it illegally, and another group of the same people will turn around and arrest you for it and put you in a prison, which, of course, is privatizing and makes money. It's ridiculous. What was that phrase, that gulag, casino gulag, I think it was? It was, who was that guy with the three names? Boy. Well, I'd write this stuff out, except I'm thinking about it on the fly. And so then I end up forgetting it. So that is, no, I'm not going to go too much into, I'm not going to go too much more into what happened with Trump today in Saudi Arabia, because it opens up a whole can of worms of Saudi Arabia not being a friend and not being a friend to humanity. And yet they are helping in terror that they're not the ones behind, and how it's complicated. I don't want to go into it because it's these things. One of the things that he's doing, they don't agree with, but we'll see where things go and how bad it gets and what damage is done. I guess you can't have it all, but I'm going to skip on that. But I want to do something more of a. We'll call it an Art Bellion thing, which I don't do much anymore. Is I've had a guest on the show who did a lot of work on the Third Secret of Fatima. And in fact, if you go to his website, it is Theater of D Mind, but it's the letter D, not THE. Theater of letter D Mind. You can poke around. He's done 2 books, one on World War II, picture book and history book, and that. The other one is on Fatima. And so you can poke around through there. It's quite a journey. His website is not conventional. But he had wrote me and said that he brought up a new date. You've heard of the December 21st, 2012 date. That kind of came and went. And some may be able to go back to it and say, hey, things have changed since then and so on. Some would argue that that date wasn't actually a real date because there are many dates it could have been, and that December 21st, 2012 was the consensus that was agreed on to try and reconcile these calendars, which are completely uncyclically related. So let's just say whether that date was actually legitimate or not, if anything ever happened or not. But there's another date to start looking forward to. And you notice how these dates are always, they're not 10 years from now. Like if you go back to the early days of Planet X, it was years in the future. And I want to say, maybe 10 years or 7 years in the future. And people would, get hyped up about it. Books come out. I remember Harold Camping when he came out with his 1985 book. And that was years. It was several years. And then it didn't happen. He pushed it. Well, maybe it's next year. There was no year 0, and that didn't happen. And then it was gone until the 2012. Harold Camping comes up out of nowhere doing the same shtickle. It didn't happen in 2012, so it was the next year, and it didn't. And he ends up having a stroke and dying. So, but what has happened since then is these times have gotten closer. So you only have to wait a few months. But then when it doesn't happen, something else comes up to take its place. And but this particular one, September 23rd, 2017, if you go out and do research on it. It's a little bit interesting. I saw it and I went, I'm not a big fan of Revelation because, and God, I don't mean to, I'm saying that it's very complicated and a million people say a million different things about it. But Revelation 12, there is this statement, and I have a link. I'll put it underneath on the bottom. It's actually on YouTube now. This guy probably does the best job, though you're going to have to labor along with him because he's kind of a preacher guy, to kind of explain there's an alignment of stars coming and planets that are coming in that day, which do kind of fit the words if you want to accept the roles that these various actors, the stars, are playing in the sky and how they move around. It kind of makes sense. The problem I have with it is you can't just take Revelation, and this is my problem with a lot of Bible prophecy to begin with, is that you're taking this piece out of this narrative. You're taking this piece and then you're saying, here, this is going to happen. And the problem is, well, what about the stuff before it? If you read Revelation, I wasn't planning on actually reading it, but I guess maybe I should do that because it might let's use the King James. It's and there will appear a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon at her feet. Now we're talking about the constellation Virgo, woman clothed with the sun. Sun is near her head. The moon is under her feet. That's obvious, the moon. Upon her head is a crown of 12 stars. Well, I believe if I'm remembering this right, there's going to be an alignment of planets where you're going to have the stars in that constellation above her head along with the planet. The planets that are going to be there make 12 stars. And she being with child, travailing in birth and pain to be delivered. Well, what happens is Jupiter has been going retrograde inside her abdomen now for the last 9 months. And now it's coming out in this time frame. And then appeared another wonder in heaven. Behold, a great red dragon, which he is saying is the sun, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And he goes through this whole of this stuff. And so if you follow his logic, it comes down to it. And it's kind of interesting. But if you go back to Revelation 11, there's a whole thing going on here. And I will give power to my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,263 days, clothed in sackcloth. Now, what does that mean? Are they literally going to wear rags? Or are they just going to be treated poorly, like peasants? There are 2 olive trees and the 2 candlesticks standing before God. And if any man hurt them, fire proceeded from their mouth. Does that mean they're going to be good orators? Are they going to, and anybody hurt them, it'll devour their enemies. And if any man hurt them, this man be killed. So is it going to be metaphorically? They're going to attack him, and he's going to come out with his mouth and cut him back. And if anybody hurts him, then they end up hurting their own careers, in this case politically. So what is Trump one of these messengers? And if there's 2 of them, who's the other one? Is Mike Cernovich and Jack Posobiec, are they the 2 messengers? I mean, this is what we're doing. If you're going to go into 10, which is coming up soon, then this stuff's already happening. And if you want to go out and look at it in the world, and then it's like, wait a minute, this is written, and this is one of the problems I have with Bible prophecy, is this thing is written back when, end of the 1st century, in the Mideast, and here we are sitting in America applying this to the president and these other people. I mean, is it happy? Could it be fine? Could it do, this is the problem I have with this stuff. But I thought I'd mention it because, we go through these things, and it's like, it's a very interesting interpretation because guys have taken the planetariums and they've gone back and forward in time thousands of years, so they're saying in this, See them. There's the Feet to Fire mug, if you'd like. This is the older one, which has the old website on it, but it's for sale through the website. It's actually you get it at cost. So if you like it, that's cool. I do, but then again, I designed it, so. But I just don't know. Don't know how to apply these things, and there's many people applying them several different ways. But it is amazing with these. They're going ahead thousands of years, and there's the planets aligning don't align like this. Now maybe it's somewhere else, but you do have Virgo as being one of the. So yeah, what do you do with this information? It's very interesting. I hate to. I'm talking to you about it. I'm letting you know because it's kind of interesting. It's kind of. Is it a diversion? I mean, somebody had to come up with this. And why, if it's diversion, maybe it's coincidence, and boy, the odds are extremely high, but hey, it's a big universe. And, of course, as I'm doing research on this, you got to have somebody call about Planet X, and bingo, the dragon is Planet X supposed to come in, but if Planet X was here, it would have been here to be involved in this. This is only a few months away. So, anyway, I don't know if I've done a service or not, or if it's if I've just added another distraction in, but it caught my attention, and I guess I should have been having this on while I'm reading this. Anyway, I go to BibleGateway.com because then you can get all these different Bible verses and so on. So when you look at all the scheme of things that we have going on, you have I mean, I'm 60 years old. Turned 60 a few weeks ago. And all my life, there's been nothing this much going on. I mean, you go back to Vietnam days, it was just Vietnam. You have Russia, Syria. You have the whole Mideast is aflame. You have the neo-Bolsheviks trying to have a revolution in America, as well as apparently winning one in France, because all of a sudden Macron now is talking about making a stronger EU to combat populism. I don't know if the translators are being liberal in their translation, but he's coming out and saying it. No, you populists. You the people? You can't. Hold on. We can't have this. We got to get strong here and get rid of this people stuff. Coming out and saying it right after the election. How you feeling in France? Excuse me with this. I was sick with some kind of flu on Friday. I had to sit in my truck and wait before I could even get out because of I was dragging myself home. So I shouldn't have went out for a ride today, I guess. Might have been too much stress, but coming back. But we're in times. We got Fukushima throwing out radiation. You have the radiations breaking in the side of over in Washington, and it got me looking in Revelation again about the star to hit the water. 1/3 of the water, and the sea life dies. We got Fukushima just shooting it all over the place. Now we got some more, and I'm looking at this stuff going, it's pretty wild here. I don't know if this is a prophecy or it's a guideline that someone's using. All right, what are we going to do next? Oh, look at this. This is a good idea. I don't know. You guys can give me your take on it. If you have questions about any of these things, whether it be Bible prophecy or my take on anything, I would prefer having a question to work from than personally than coming out and just talking about things that I find. I find this stuff fascinating and interesting. It doesn't mean you do. And so if you'd like to add to the mix, here I'm scrolling down. If you can watch One American News Network, I really recommend it because they really are doing a good job. Just their main news stories are so refreshing. I put it on. I had to get it through the internet. You can get it through cloudtv.com. And if you miss one of the shows you want to see, they record the last 2 weeks, and then you can go back in time and watch them. You need it on like a Roku player or whatnot that you can watch it. You can watch it on their website as well. Speaking of Roku player, this is where this story comes from about the Mega Man Kim Dotcom is from freejack.tv. Might want to check this out because this is going to be the new home of the conspiracy channel folks. freejack.tv, which is again going to be a Roku type thing or on your website. So there is no Les Visible today. I have not heard from Les, so he's out and about traveling last time I knew, so he was probably too much to do. So don't have a Les Visible. And I mean, for me, if you want to ask me what they should do, and not that anybody is stop with the Korea thing. You know, I think that the main reason I talked about it last week, that Korea is so interesting to people now, and they want to get rid of the guy running this because they found the largest cache of rare earth minerals on the planet in North Korea. So they may not have oil there like they have in the Mideast or what have you, but there you go, bingo. So if Kim Jong-un would want to play ball with the West, they could make a lot of cash, and this is what I think they would like to do, except he's not doing that. But if a lot of this stuff is so much drama. I look at the drama is that dramas are created to suck you in. When you're watching the drama, your energy's involved. Now, in the case of like a soap opera, they create a drama, you watch it, and they get to show commercials in front of you. That's their deal. They pull you in with the drama, throw a commercial. Here they pull you in with the drama to keep and suck your energy, both in a metaphysical sense as well as preventing you from going out and creating in your own way, in your own stuff. So you have this happening constantly all over the place. You have it at work. They want to give you a workload to keep all your energies possibly working on at work. Now, of course, you are contracting yourself to work for them during the time. So, I mean, working for them is not a problem. It's just that a lot of places want you to do it, and it's not for the good of the customer or the good of the company. It's for because I said so, and I got a problem with that. Because I said so is not a good thing. I didn't like it when I was a kid and don't like it now. So these are the aspects of it. So send me an email, james@feettothefireradio.com with any kind of comments and questions. You can hit the subscribe button here, and anytime I do one of these, whether it be pre-planned, pre-put together, or live, spontaneous, you get notices that way. There's a newsletter on the website, which I just dawned on me, I didn't send the newsletter out, that you can sign up for, and when I do remember to do it, which is usually, it also will have easy ways to listen. But I think the best approach for people is to subscribe to the YouTube channel, and then it just automatically either comes in your email, or in my case, I get it on my phone too, so that it pops up, and I can even listen to some of these things while I drive. And note I said listen while I drive. So this is probably the best way to do it, as you could on there. And I really am soliciting questions on topics, and I can't really talk to like necessarily as a history of buff or what have you. My more thing is a logical analysis, is a logical spiritual analysis on a topic using lack of contradiction and the basic principles set down by people like Jesus and Socrates, where you have the spiritual mindset of Jesus along with the critical thinking mindset. Not to say Jesus didn't critically think, but you got my point. It is kind of like these, the math and the like physics and metaphysics, if you will. Those things are very necessary for reality. Because reality is not simply the physical And, of course, there's people go the other way, and they say, well, the physical don't matter, it's only the spiritual, and that's not the case either. They're both here for a reason, and you have to use your mind and your feelings, or I would use the term gut, or your intuition, not either or, and you use the physical body and the spiritual, not either or. These are the problems if we've got into a world where they split things up into an either or, and you have trouble. So with that, I think I will go. And again, I'm really requesting emails and comments with questions, because the best work that I do is when someone's got a question and then I can get going to it. I feel good about it. I mean, I get this rush of intuition and guidance, and I look for things, and it's really good for me, which means that I think the question answered in earnest would be fruitfully rewarded by me looking at it, and it starts a discussion. I've end up worked on questions, and I've learned things that my answer after looking into it would have been different than if I just did it off the cuff. So it really works out for everybody. With that being said, again, if you would like the video and subscribe, because all that stuff works out inside. These aren't monetized. I haven't even bothered it. I tried to do monetizing, and anything that you see in the background, well, I have this green screen going on in the background because it covers stuff I got going on there. And YouTube was saying, like, well, do you have the right to have that thing being shown on cam? I mean, you need to, if you have any kind of logo up there, you have to have the right to use it, even if you bought like a piece of machinery and the logo is showing. Any excuse to not monetize it. And I have 1,500 subscribers as opposed to 1 million of other people. So God knows what they're going through. But anyway, I appreciate stopping by here and spending the time. It's cool. And anything I can do to help in this process, I will do my best. So we will see you again next week. And God bless. Take care.